Yeah, hey, y'all doing, being black family? Excuse the mishaps. Again, family. Today's the interview. Tonight's the interview. Get your minds ready. Get your get your thoughts prepared to absorb the information that the master teacher has in store for us. Again, we're going to be talking about principles from his three works. We're going to talk about his perspectives on mental health. We're going to get real deep in a lot of his principles. So let's get this thing going. Just a short description about some of the things that he's provided for the community in his 40+ year experience as an educator. Oh, got Kaba coming in now. Hey, how you doing, master teacher?
Hotep to you, my brother Joshua X. Thank you for this invitation, brother. Looking forward to this evening's conversation, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had to have you on when I made my platform for melanated people who wanted to see clearly, and you painted the pictures. When you paint pictures the way you do, I had to put you on. It's just it just comes together so smooth like that. So I had to put you on, brother. Seriously.
That's fantastic, brother. That's fantastic. I
Oh,
love being black, brother. 2020.
oh wow. I see. And that's the first thing that came in my mind was having correct vision when it came to what I felt our people, needed the most in today's times was to be able to see clearly. And
That's it.
your work from from Professor William Leo Hansberry on to Shabaka Stone, it gives us a roadmap. It gives us a roadmap to the way we need to be in our headspace. So,
Yeah.
man, oh man, I'm getting all into it. Let's give the people a little introduction on how you came to be at this level that you are now.
Well, my background is in education, here in New
Okay.
York, born and raised in New York. And so I retired from the Board of Ed after about, well, not after about, but actually being in the system for 31 years here in New York. And so my background is in education, deeply in education. And so I staff developer, I was an administrator, assistant principal. I've taught every grade, I've taught every class, every subject, including, through college. And so my background is in education, not just cultural education, but also in terms of how to educe.
Mm.
You see, there's two things in education. There's what you call content and intent. Content is what you teach. Intent is the method by which you teach it. And it ties into what we spoke about the other day as it related to when you were telling me about how much you enjoyed the law of attraction.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I was saying there's a book that's titled The Kybalion, Kybalion. And I recommend that everybody get that book, The Kybalion. And then after you read that, there are other books that will complement that. But the Kybalion, Kybalion, is actually the writing of the ancient Kushites through what they call the pen of Tehuti, or who is the patron of knowledge and wisdom.
Yes.
Everything that exists, there's balance. You will always have one of the principles in the Kybalion is the law of polarity. And that just as we have female, we have male energy. We have up, we have down. We have left, we have right. That's just the way it is. And all of those, and I talk about it in the Shabaka Stone, all of those concepts really about one concept, but when you have cold and hot, let's say you have a timeline that goes from cold to hot. The question becomes, at what point along this timeline does cold become hot? And what point does hot become cold? They're the same thing, but you're measuring it by the opposites, by the poles of it. So that one of the things I said that I felt should have been gotten into in that video DVD, The Law of Attraction, should have been its opposite or its complement, the law of repulsion. Because the law that attracts you is the same law that will repulse you if you're not of the proper energy. So while you're drawing and attracting what you want, you are at the same time repulsing that which you don't want. When you strive to be good, you negate the fact that you're going to act not good. When you're going up, you are negating the fact that you're going down. So to Africans, everything came in duality. There were laws of duality. And this is why a perception of having a creator that was only one gender, be it male or female, just doesn't wrap around my head, Brother Joshua.
Yeah.
I can't handle that thought because I know for every god there must be a goddess.
Yeah.
And for every goddess there is a god. And again, when you go into Spirituality Before Religions, my second book, and when you go into Shabaka Stone, I clearly discuss this, breaking it down to make it simple, because I'm talking to our community. I'm not talking to college people. I'm not trying to impress people to get awards. I'm talking to the folk. I'm talking to our people to help them understand what we can embrace to take us where we need to go. It's not that difficult. And the evidence is our ancestors. Look at how much more we have today than our ancestors did on the plantation. Yet look at what they did on the plantation. They performed miracles on the plantation. When you study what happened to us when we were enslaved, so to speak, as it relates to prior to 1865, let's say. Let's just put that date there. We know what we're going through now. But as a point of departure, they say 1865, June 17th, June 18th, when down in Galveston, the captain said to black folk, "You free." That is like, that's why Juneteenth is such an important day. Because while we were free, so to speak, well, we were always free. It's just that our mind was enslaved. But the idea is that having been enslaved the way we were, 1865 becomes a good point of departure to talk about, because that's when black folk that did not know they were free realized that they were free. And that's what I tell black folk about Juneteenth Day. Whenever I talk about Juneteenth Day, I liken it to the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, wow.
You know, when you look at the Wizard of Oz, and particularly the Wiz, if you want to get down with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross and Richard Pryor, you know, Nipsey Russell, who Nipsey Hussle is named after. If you really want to understand Nipsey Hussle, understand Nipsey Russell. That's why he got that name, Nipsey Hussle. Know who Nipsey Russell is. You see, and with due respect to my younger brothers and sisters, I encourage you to study the history, to understand and to know where things come from. Because when you know where things come from, you know where they are. When you know where they are, you know where you can take them.
Yes.
You know, if there had not, hip hop was born out of what we call doo-wop. When you go back into music and you understand the roots of music, hip hop coming up, now hip hop is my generation, 1960, 1965, Gil Scott-Heron. Okay, we talking about Gil Scott-Heron, Nikki Giovanni, Sonia Sanchez, Oscar Brown Jr. I mean, if you want to hear some riffing, or if you want to say spitting, check out Oscar Brown Jr. He's one of the original rappers. Powerful brother. Nipsey Russell also was a poet. He was a rapper. And that's where Nipsey Hussle got his name from. But of course, he tweaked it, did his thing with it, took the Russell and made it a hustle, brought it into the hip hop generation, and he got his hustle on. And so once we understand our history, once we understand where we come from, then we know where we are. And I think that one of the things that's missing with us as a people, and I accept responsibility. I have tried in my time to do what I got to do for our people. But my thing is, my generation should have kept teaching. We should have stood up, and we should have understood one thing more important than anything else. Freedom ain't free. Freedom ain't free. Malcolm told us that the price of freedom sometimes is death.
Yes.
Freedom ain't free. Malcolm paid a price. Martin Luther King paid a price. Medgar Evers paid a price. And all of the other political prisoners who have been imprisoned and kept there all these years, they all paid a price. That was not free.
Yeah.
And once we understand this, Brother Joshua, we can take it to a whole nother level to understand who we are and what we are as a people.
Yes.
And as we move through this process, and I think that your generation, the younger generations from there, are moving through a process, man. There's some dynamic things that are happening. And I realize that it may appear that things aren't getting better, but they are.
Yes. Yeah.
Not because of them, because of us. They
Of
didn't do
course.
nothing to get us in this position. They have always followed us. We had an underground railroad before any other cultural people ever got involved in the Underground Railroad. Not just that, but the Underground Railroad did not go north. The first Underground Railroad went south to St. Augustine, Florida, where there was a lot of black Native Americans that are called the Seminole or the Seminole.
You have a documentary on that on your page. Am I wrong?
Well,
Is
I
there a
include that
documentary?
in my conversation. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because we just have to understand our history and culture.
Okay.
And we did not wait for people of European descent to invite us into their homes. We were on the Underground Railroad by ourselves as a people. There were those that joined, and they did great things to help us. There's no question. Got to give everybody their due. Yes. With much respect. But what the point I'm making is black folk don't wait for other people to do for us. It's only when they start giving out checks that we waiting for people to do for us. But when they wasn't giving us no checks, we took care of our own business. But then they put us to sleep by giving us checks. And then we lost that. Not all of us now, because I don't speak in absolutes.
Of course.
But the bottom line, my brother Joshua, the reason why I think of The Wizard of Oz is because when you look at the story, you look at the storyline, okay? You got this young girl, she gets hit in the head, she goes to this faraway land, right? And when she gets up, she don't know where she is. She in Munchkin land and all the rest of that. Okay. And she wants to go home. And the good witch, Glenda, comes to her, when you look at, the different people, that have played the part, but let's just say good witch, and Lena Horne in the movie The Wiz, but let's just deal with the reality of the story. She says, well, you got to go to the Wiz. He's the wise man. He knows everything, and he'll tell you how to get home. She said, well, how do I go? She said, follow the yellow brick road. Okay, follow the yellow brick road. And so she starts following the yellow brick road, and all of a sudden she come upon who? The Scarecrow. Get in conversation with him. He say he want a brain. He said he really wants a brain. And she said, well, I'm on my way to the Wiz. I want to go home, so I'm sure he can give you a brain. And so he says, okay, so we'll go. So there, the two of them go, Scarecrow and Dorothy. And then who do they meet next? They meet the Tin Man. The Tin Man say he want a heart. come on with us. Next one they meet on the road, the yellow brick road is, and the yellow brick road is life. The gold, gold meaning life and the exuberance of existence. And so now you have the lion who wants courage. You have the Tin Man who wants a heart. And you have the Scarecrow want a brain. And Dorothy, all she want to do is go home. And so they go to the Wiz. Okay, long story short, let's just cut through the chase because y'all can watch it if you want to. But the idea is the fact that, come to find out, the Wiz don't have that power. In fact, the Wiz is nothing but a very small man that projects a very large image on the wall with a loud booming voice and scares everybody to think he's the powerful Wizard of Oz. Just follow my metaphor.
And that's
so.
Oh no, I was saying I was going to piggyback off that because I had just watched I had just watched with my partner the Planet of the Apes, the Charles Heston version,
Oh
and
yeah.
and in his version, I believe it's a 5-part series, but in the fourth part, when they show the post trauma of the humans from like a post-apocalyptic world, they had destroyed themselves, and every human that survived, in order to survive, they had no real strength, but what they did have power in illusions and in telepathy. So they can send signals to your brain to confuse you, and they can put images in front of your face to distort you and throw you astray. But
Yep.
there was no real power. So I saw a link in what you said, and I was just like, oh wow, that's funny because I just
Absolutely.
watched it. Yeah, yes sir.
And I think that was the version where they worship the atom bomb or some type of
Yeah.
bomb.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Long story short, Joshua, uh, when they found out that he couldn't do it, they said, well, Scarecrow said, well, what am I going to do for a brain? And what am I going to do for a Tin Man said, what am I going to do for a heart? And the lion said, what am I going to do for courage? And Dorothy cried, how am I going to get home? So what the long story short is that the Wiz said to them, said to the Scarecrow, well, you're the one that devised the plan. So you're smart. And all of a sudden, the Scarecrow said, yeah, I'm smart. see, this is what happened when you wait for someone else to tell you who you are.
Yeah.
And then the Tin Man, he said, but you're the one that did all that you did and you cared for everybody, so you have a heart. And he just put a little plastic heart up there and it started beating. And the Tin Man said, oh, I got a heart now. And the Wiz told the lion, he said, but you're the one that defended everybody. So you got courage. Okay? And then the lion started feeling, and roaring and, I have courage.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when you wait for someone else to tell you who you are.
Yeah.
And then Dorothy, he gets into the hot air balloon. Look at the metaphor, hot air balloon. And all of a sudden he floats out. And so the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the lion got what they came for. But now Dorothy said, but how am I going to get home? And then out of the sky comes Glinda. And she said, Dorothy, all you had to do to go home was to click your heels 3 times and say, I want to go home. You see, family, that's our story. We're waiting for a Wiz to free us. The purpose of spirituality before religions, Shabaka Stone and Professor Hansberry, was to let you understand one critical factor is that each and every one of us is the creator having a human experience. Don't be waiting for nobody out here to save you. Only you can save yourself. And it's important that we begin to amass that type of understanding of who we are as a people, no matter what they may portray out there of us. Power is the ability to define someone else's reality and have them accept that definition as if it were their own. That's why the second day of Kwanzaa, Kujichagulia, is so important. Self-determination. Who are you, Joshua? Who are you as a people? Mick Righteous, I see you there. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you to you? Not to me. Because when people say, who do you think you are? When I get up into stuff with people, they say, who do you think you are? I say, that's not what's important. What's important is who do you think I am? I know who I am, and I don't have to define myself to you.
Yeah.
Who do you think I am? Because you're the one that raised the question. You ain't heard me ask, who do I think I am?
Yeah.
See, when we change, and it goes back to the law of attraction and the law of repulsion. You know, as you attract something to you, you repulse something else away from you. When you bring Ma'at to you, you push Ishfet away from you. Ma'at is the true word. It's the true path to be on in life. It is the righteous life. Ishfet is where you are when you're not on the right path. So as you go on the right path, you push away from you the wrong path. And as you
Mm.
and if you choose to bring the wrong path to you, you repulse the right path you should be on away from you.
Mm. Mm.
Same law, two sides of it. Attraction, repulsion.
And that's
And that's where we are.
that's so dynamic when it comes to healing, to healing the mind. You have to be you have to be aware of those principles, and you have to not only be aware of those principles, but you have to infuse those principles in how you guard your vicinities, your areas, your environments. Because a lot of people, I don't believe they don't know how to structure their home being. Because my home, I make sure that is a very strict environment for growth. It's a very strict environment for learning, so that I come in and me and my partner, we can be comfortable. We can be comfortable when we read. We can be comfortable when we meditate. We can be comfortable when we try to understand new principles, so that these things aren't they aren't hard to digest, because your books, they got some dense principles in them. They got some dense knowledge, and you have to. What I do when I read your work is that I actually hear your voice. So when you say you're a better orator than you are a writer, it's the same is in one for me, because I literally I'm on every page and every word as if you're saying it in my ear. So I want to give you thanks, and I also want to give you thanks for bringing William Leo Hansberry to us in
Mm,
in your libation. It was very astronomical how you stated so eloquently how this man sacrificed so much of his time and energy in structuring a format of knowledge that came from our ancestors from a deep standpoint. He sacrificed so much, and to the fact that I didn't even know who he was, and the fact that I have so much admiration for him right now, just constitutes to how relevant he is in all of our lives. uh, I just want to say thank you for that, Asante Sana in Swahili, and
no doubt.
it's 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 amazing, and I see so many principles of Professor Hansberry in you, and
Mm,
how he till the end he was setting up works for foreign students, and trying to implement new work. He didn't even finish his own work because it's too dedicated to the progression of his students. So
yeah,
I want to thank you for being a model, an example for that in the flesh as well.
yeah. I appreciate that, brother. I really do, because like you say, I also have such a great admiration for him and his students.
Yeah.
He was such a phenomenal teacher. He started teaching 1922 at Howard
Mm.
University. He developed three courses in African history, the first of its kind anywhere on the planet. Now, I say that I'm not saying that black folk and African folk didn't study their history. What I'm saying is that he developed a curriculum to be taught in a college, a classroom. He created, basically, if you want to look at it, 90 classes, because basically you get two a week,
Yeah.
and it's basically 15 weeks a term, from what I remember. That's pretty much the way it is now.
Yeah.
And if you had 3 courses, 3 times 2 times 15, I believe what you do, because he had 15 weeks, he had 2 classes per week, and he had 3 classes, and he had 3 classes. He had 15 weeks, and he taught twice a week. And so, what he was able to do, because by 1925, and it's in the book I talk about, he had a symposium in African history for the first time like that. And the thing is this, Brother Joshua, we have that benefit of our Dr. Clarks and our Dr. Benz, our Dr. Sheikh Anta Diops and our Dr. Shashi McIntyres, and our great scholars like Drusilla Dunjee Houston. We have them, but William Leo Hansberry didn't have them back then. There were no maps of Ethiopia the way we have them today. They drew them. He went to the art students who took his class, and they drew maps of Africa. And then he would put them on lithographs, and then he would frame them and create maps that did not exist before. It was his inspiration to his students, where his students wanted to help him develop what he was doing. When I went to his home to study his work, this is in 1984, and I went downstairs, he had maps, he had graphs. They didn't exist before. They created them because nobody was interested in Africa. Nobody was teaching about Africa. And so what he did is he made them. He created them from scratch. And what the beauty is that all of his students did a presentation in that 2-day symposium. I think the dates were June 4th and June 5th, or June 3rd and June 4th, where they did a 2-day symposium, morning, afternoon, and evening, for 2 days. And it shocked the black world. Yeah. Right after that, they tried to fire him. But the students had an uproar. Students said, no, you ain't touching Professor Hansberry. He had only been on campus 2-3 years, but he made such a direct impact. And Dr. Chancellor Williams was one of the interviews, because Dr. Chancellor Williams, The Destruction of Black Civilization, was his student. And so you're dealing with people like Dr. Chancellor Williams. You're dealing with Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, the first prime minister and president of Nigeria. You're dealing with Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah used to leave Lincoln University in Pennsylvania to travel to Africa House that Professor Hansberry built for the students. This is the type of man he was. This man, during World War II, got involved to the point where the Italian government was writing letters to the United States government telling them to tell William Leo Hansberry to back down, mind their business about the Italian fascists attacking Ethiopia. And William Leo Hansberry's right-hand man, as it relates to the law, was Dr. Ralph Bunche, who received one of the Nobel Peace Prize. These Africans were doing their thing back then.
Yeah.
And we need to do that now.
Yeah.
And I wrote that book to remind us of how great we are, not just how we were, how we are. We still are like that.
Yeah.
It's just that we got so much coming at us.
Yeah.
And as a young person, I can only imagine what an 18, 20-year-old is experiencing now.
Yeah.
And I just want to let you know, it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
We got some work to do, but it is going to work out. Our ancestors did not bring us this far to leave us like this.
No, of course not. Of course. And that brings me to my next question. When it comes to spirituality before religion, you get into it briefly in detail. We actually get more into it in Shabaka Stone, but pre-existing order of arrangement. That, and when it comes, that's what actually calmed my spirit. That digging into that, because I believe, and I'm talking about this has been for like a month or a couple of like 3 weeks mostly. I became way more peaceful in my approach when it comes to learning, acting, and moving. That's still strategic, still ready to act, but I'm more confident in the future because I understand the existing law of order of arrangement. I understand that the future generations, they have the potential and the know-how to evolve, and that's what I actually want to talk to you about is that majority of the reason why you like you're saying it ain't over till we win? Is the principle of pre-existing arrangement? Is that the principle that keeps that keeping on?
Well, yes, and it's also the third philosophy, which is the essences of order and arrangement. Because the way
Okay.
you look at it, when you look at the original, when we talk about Shabaka Stone and we're talking about the original concept of how the
Okay.
universe came into being, basically our ancestors had three philosophies on the Shabaka Stone. The first philosophy was the primate of the essences,
Mm-hmm.
which is the Nun. Now, the Nun is very powerful because our ancestors, there was a radical break in mental acuity when our ancestors asked the simple question: what existed before existence existed? That's a radical thought because we're so bound in time. We're bound in time. We're bound in this moment that's going to the next moment that will go into tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. We look at the past and we can go back to the past, to the origin of life in Africa. But my point is, you got to go back further than that. That's why in spirituality before religions, right after the libation, I take you right into evolution from the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
And to understand that in the beginning, before the beginning began, everything was in potential rest in the waters of Nun. And then at some appointed time, there was an eruption in these waters. In science, it's called the Big Bang. To our ancestors, they called it Ptah, which is the conversion of energy at rest into energy in motion, kinetic energy. With the combination of energy and matter, which is what the universe is comprised of, you then get
Mm-hmm.
this concept of Atum, creative utterance, consciousness, intelligence, that names everything in all. That's the first philosophy. But now the second philosophy is, as you say, Brother Joshua, the essences of pre-existing order and arrangement. And here's what I mean by that. Now, I call it that. In science, it's called the Ogdoad.
Oh, dude. Okay.
Ogdoad. Ogdoad. And they're known as the gods of chaos. And what I'm saying is that comes from an Indo-European mind. That comes from a European Asian mind.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos. Africans don't believe in chaos. When I'm walking out on the block and I see the brothers out there doing their thing and you know, they're just hanging out doing and enjoying and everything, I see them as being in pre-existing order and arrangement. When I see what's happening in the streets of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, after the killing of that young brother yesterday, and I see a lot of things going on, I don't see that as chaos. I see that as pre-existing order and arrangement. Our ancestors did not have a concept of what chaos is in the world we're living in today. Chaos gives me the impression that everything is just gone. Nothing is happening. And what I'm saying is, no, something is happening, but the essences and the people are looking for order and arrangement. They're looking for answers. They're not just out there doing nothing. They're out there because they're trying to find something. And that's the way we are as a people. We're always searching. That's what got us this far.
Yeah.
And when Atum, from the first philosophy, named the essences of the second philosophy, pre-existing order and arrangement, they found that there are 8 concepts, 4 pairs, 8 concepts. They noticed that everything is made up of matter or space. It's infinite, has no end, or it has an end, finite. It is in the darkness or it's the light, and it's hidden or revealed. And those are the 8 concepts that created the cosmic universe. And then out of that second philosophy came the third philosophy, which are the essences of order and arrangement. And that's where you start getting into the science of the atoms and the molecules and the elements, moisture, air, sky, earth, botanical life, human life. But the key is, and that third philosophy in science is called the Ennead, Ennead. Because what I'm trying to do, Brother Joshua, is to present to our community and understand that our ancestors had more knowledge of science back then than we have today.
Yes.
There's still a lot more to find out as it relates to science, the same thing as it relates to magic, okay? Africans didn't believe in the kind of magic we believe in. You know,
Yeah.
pulling a rabbit out of a hat and all that. I mean, that was nonsense. They defined magic as, they called it Heka. Heka, H-E-K-A. Heka is not, but that's the word that they would use for what we think is magic. But the way they would define Heka, and the way we would define it in English, is to will something to happen. Magic is will. You will it to happen. Like I say, it ain't over till we win. I'm willing that. And I'm going to manifest that.
Yes.
Our ancestors on the plantation, when they said, I want to be free, they manifested us. We are their dreams. When they got deep down into dreams, in the days that they were through murder, mayhem, horrific conditions, and they were in their quarters where they lived, they said to each other, one day we'll be free. It ain't over till we win. We just got to keep on keeping on. I channel that with our ancestors. I can hear them on the plantation. Keep on keeping on. Kunta. No matter if they make you say your name Toby, I call you Kunta. And they willed it to happen. They manifested us into existence. That's why I say they didn't bring us this far to leave us like this. We have work to do. We have to complete what they were doing.
Yes.
In whatever capacity, wherever you are. You work for FedEx, if you work for MTA, the bus company, or you're a train driver, you're a nurse, a doctor, a CEO. If you black, be black first.
Yeah.
Unapologetically and unashamedly. In fact, I don't even discuss it.
Yeah.
I do what I do because I do what I do. Like Ray Charles say, it do what it do.
Yeah.
It do what it do, man.
Yeah.
We have to come to that understanding that this has been the Wizard of Oz all the while. A very little man that projects a huge image on the wall with a booming voice. He is not who he pretends to be. But they have conditioned us to believe he's all that.
Yeah.
And he's not. If nothing else, the one thing I got to thank number 45, the President of the United States, number 45, the one thing I thank him for is he gave us 2020.
Yeah.
Clear sight, brother.
Yeah.
Clear sight.
Yeah.
You named your situation correct. Clear sight, 2020. I can see clearly now who's who and what's what. Okay? Now, under those conditions, like Malcolm said, because you know something? He did not say one thing when he was running from the moment he opened his mouth when he said he was going to run for president until the day he had to run out of town to go back home. He did exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yep.
And now he looking at everybody saying, but why are you surprised? I
Yeah.
told you what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at me and saying, how could he do something like that? But I told you. That's why. Isn't that why you voted for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't lie. And the thing about Malcolm, the one thing Malcolm said that I appreciate, and I've always felt this way, is Malcolm said, I could oppose somebody totally, but I respect them if they're sincere.
Mm.
And that's very
Yeah.
important to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I use the word authentic. He used the word sincere. Same exact thing. Be authentic. Say what you do and do what you say. And if you don't want to say what you do, don't say it. But don't say something and not do it, and don't do something and not say it.
Yeah.
And Malcolm was very sincere. No matter if you agreed with him or not. It's not about you agreeing with me. And like I tell the family all the time, don't believe a word I say. I'm not doing this for you to believe me. I'm doing this to make you think. And if I can make you think, then I, as an educator, as a facilitator of thoughts, I've done my job. People say to me,
Yeah.
yo, man, like, I don't think you're right. I said, but that's great. You see what you said? I think.
Yeah.
See, people
Yeah.
get bent out of shape
Yeah.
if they say, man, I don't believe what you're saying. I don't care. I'm not telling you
Yeah.
this for you to believe me. I want you to
Yeah.
think for yourself. I'll put the
Yeah.
information out, just like I spell words, Ogdode, Enid, anything that I'm saying that I think might not be in the mind of the person I'm speaking of, that you may need some spelling, because it happens to me. Because a lot of times I have to tell people, like if I'm in a workshop and they say something, I say, how do you spell that? Because if I'm going to do my research, I want to know how to spell the word.
Yes.
And so my thing is uh, to present information and present the sources from whence I got it. When you go into my books, you'll see they're documented. I document
Yeah.
my books. I
Yes.
got end notes, bibliographies. I've got curriculum guides. I mean, I've got all sorts of things in my book because I want our people to go beyond just reading my book and go to the sources that made me say what I say. Because, Brother Joshua, if you read a book, let's say you go to Stolen Legacy
Mm-hmm.
that I cite in the book to read for Shabaka Stone,
Mm-hmm.
page 139 to 151. You go to that book, you read it. What you get out of the book may be different from what I got out the book. But what you got out the book is as important for me to know as it is for you to know.
Yeah.
So if I could get you or other people to read what I'm saying and then say, yo, Brother Kaba, I read that piece that you was doing and here's what I got from it. And I say, wow, that's pretty good. I never
Yeah.
thought about that because that's just the way life is. I'm not looking for my way. I'm looking for the way. And the only way to do that is to present information so that people who are listening to you can take it to the next level and share what they've learned.
Yeah.
No arguing. This ain't no argument. You don't have to
Yeah.
agree with me. Put your information on the table. I put my information on the table, and let's chop it up. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Let's go back and forth. You want to have a rap battle? Let's have a rap battle with information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get excited about learning. Let's get excited about respecting each other's perspective of things.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a difference if you agree with me. If you got something that can enlighten me, teach me. The more I learn, how much more I have to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's definitely impactful because you said that, and the reason why I felt that in your writings when you talked about the how we are as like a cosmic drop in the primordial waters of none, like we're all just like one drop. And
Yes.
when I thought of that, that's what made me think, like, you know what, there is no reason to push or shun perspective or because I'm not going to shy away from the fact that I was real hard up on Christians and Muslims for a long time because my personal experience with a few of them. I had good experiences, but I let those bad ones sully a beautiful system and beautiful stories that I've always held dear from my youth. But when I've read your book, it gave me a chance to dig deep into my consciousness and really observe and view those experiences and cherish the ones that I want to, and and push aside the ones that I don't. But it gave me more perspective on different people and different things that I've experienced in my life that I didn't quite understand, but it gave me the reasoning to find the virtue in them. So yeah, I thank you a lot for that, especially how, like I said, how you explained how, like I said, we're all just a cosmic drop. And when I thought about the ocean, and I think about how many drops it takes to fill the ocean up, and I was like, wow. But every
Yeah,
drop meaning having a specific purpose and a specific meaning. So yeah,
absolutely.
so yeah,
And every drop of water, the question becomes what part of the drop of water isn't the ocean, and what part of the ocean isn't in the drop of water?
oh wow,
Just think about that concept, and that is why I say each of us is the creator having a human experience. We're just a micro example of the ocean. A drop of water is a micro example of the whole ocean.
yeah,
It is what the ocean is made of.
yeah,
Every part of it is.
yeah,
And so the concept of the drop of water and the ocean leads us to understand that we are all one, because when we were drops of water in the ocean, Joshua, you and I are connected.
yeah,
The folk that are on this on this Instagram live, we're all connected, just like the drops of water are connected in the water. But in that drop of water is the individualization of the ocean, which creates what we would call the soul.
mm,
Because one of the things in spirituality before religions was to at least discuss what we mean when we talk about the difference between the soul and the spirit.
okay,
Because to me, that's very important to know that both of those concepts exist, but they are different.
yeah,
And sometimes we use them interchangeably, and you really can't.
mm,
A soul is not a soul. The spirit is in the soul,
mm,
but the spirit is universal.
okay,
My spirit, Ka, is the same as your spirit, Ka. But my soul, Ba, is not like your soul, Ba. That's what makes you Joshua X and me, Kaba Hiawatha, is our
okay,
soul. And what's interesting is I once had a conversation, it was in my 5th grade class, and the class was having a party, and we had a young lady in the class that was part of Jehovah Witness,
hmm,
and she couldn't be part of the party. We Jehovah Witness don't celebrate.
yeah,
So whenever we would have party, or we'd have a Kwanzaa or Christmas event or a Misgiving, Thanksgiving event, or any type of birthday party, we had to send the Jehovah Witness students away from the class.
mm,
And one time, student was explaining about Jehovah Witness and what they believe in terms of celebration. And then somebody in the class said something about, yeah, and y'all even will let each other die before you get a blood transfusion. And then the sister dropped the
mm,
knowledge behind why they don't do blood transfusions. They will let them die before they will do a blood transfusion.
hmm,
But then the sister explained that in Jehovah Witness, they believe that the soul resides in the blood. And that if you get a blood
mm,
transfusion, you are transfusing other people's souls into your body.
mm,
Scientifically, that's correct. The essence
mm.
of who you are is in your blood. That's why when you go to the doctor, they give you a blood test, because everything they need to know about you is in your blood. That's your soul.
Hmm.
That's why science is unseen spirituality, and spirituality spirituality is unseen science, and science is seen spirituality. Two sides of the same coin. If I showed you a piece of leather, you don't have to ask me, is there suede on the other side? If I showed you a coin where I showed you the tail, you wouldn't have to ask me, is the head of the tail on the other side? Two sides of the same coin. Spirituality and science is one, but one is seen and one is unseen, going back to Amen and Amenet in the second philosophy, Amen being the hidden and Amenet being the revealed.
Mm-hmm.
Two sides of the same. You have darkness and you have light. You have matter and you have space. You have infinity and you have finity. Two sides of the same coin. That's why you only have one essence, but you have the two poles of them. Infinity is boundless. Finity is bounded. Matter is touchable. Space is not. The unseen can't be seen, and the seen can be seen. Same thing. Darkness and light. Same thing, but by matter of degree. At what point does darkness become light or light become dark? At what point? But it's the same line that you're on. And see, when we break these things down in our minds, we then get a sense of consciousness of who we are as a people. And I think that as we move through this third decade of the 21st century, Brother Joshua X, we have a lot of consciousness to go back to. I call it plantation consciousness. Because there was a consciousness on the plantation that doesn't exist in our neighborhoods today. Plantation consciousness.
You mind elaborating on the plantation consciousness?
Plantation of the consciousness knew that they were on a plantation. You see, and I think everybody at home watching this is laughing with us, brother, because everybody understands what I just said.
Yeah, yeah.
Freedom ain't free, brother. There's some of us think we free.
Yeah.
There's a few more payments that we have to make on our freedom.
Yeah.
And we have to make those payments to ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to love ourselves enough to want to make a change.
Yeah. Yes.
Because it's going to come from loving ourselves.
Yeah.
And from loving ourselves, we'll love other people. And from loving other people, we will want the future to be bright and brilliant and wonderful. And that will come through our children. We knew that on the plantation. And we taught each other the truth. We may have been struggling with certain information in terms of literacy and reading and things like that, but we knew how to communicate truth to each other. Truth knows truth. And that's the one thing about black folk. We've been hoodwinked, bamboozled. Every type of game that could be played on a human being has been played on us. We got it going. We know. But the one thing is, black folk know authenticity. They know authenticity. They know sincerity. And they respect that. And they will ride or die if you're sincere. Even if they don't agree with you.
Yeah.
Malcolm could not handle, and by that I mean he was repulsed by hypocrites.
Yeah.
The one thing I admire about Malcolm, you never had to send undercover agents in on him. Because he'd tell you to your face what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And that's something I always admired in him.
Yeah.
That he just told you, there was no whispering. There was no secret meetings. He just had his meetings and told folk what had to be done.
Yeah.
That's to be admired and replicated.
Yeah.
We have to get to that point. That's a plantation mentality. A plantation mentality, you understand where you are. And you also come to think critically about what you can do to get yourself out of that situation. Then you implement plans to get you out of that situation. And then you're there. There's a lot of our history that hasn't been told what black folk did on the plantation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories haven't been told.
Yeah.
And going back to religions, I don't have a problem with one religion. I have a problem with their interpretations. Because I can show you where every religion got their scripture from, on the walls of Africa, or on the coffins, or on the papyri, where they wrote. I can show you where Christianity came from. I can show you Genesis, where Genesis came from. I can show you Noah. Noah is where Noah came from, the waters of Nun. That's why it was a flood. They were talking about the happy flood. And that was the Nun. Nu, that's Noah. Noah. That's where they got the name Noah from. I can show you Cain and Abel is Asar and Satan. I can show you Leviticus. I can show you Deuteronomy. I can show you the surahs of the Quran. I can show you. So it's not the religion I have a problem with. It's the interpretation of that religion, of that scripture, that I have a problem with. Because with due respect, and if people believe it, more power to you, and I would defend your right to believe it. But I'm sorry, I can't accept a story that you're going to tell me that a man, white man, is going to go down on the earth and going to shape a human being out of dirt. And then going to put him to sleep. You talk about cosmic anesthesia. I mean, I really believed this story when I was growing up Roman Catholic. Put him to sleep and took his rib out and created a woman from his rib. I can't handle that story.
Yeah.
I used to sit around talking about Jack and the Beanstalk and Rapunzel and Little Red Riding Hood, and they all had beautiful morals to the story, but they didn't really happen, man. There wasn't no Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful story. I understand the moral to the story, the metaphor. I got that, but please don't try to get me to believe it that it actually happened. No, I can't handle that. My mind can't wrap around that, Brother Joshua.
Yeah.
So again, I don't have a problem with the religion. I have a problem with the interpretation. Now, if you take that spiritual system and you revert back into Africa, because I tell people, I'm not trying to get you to leave Christianity. I want you to Africanize your Christianity.
Yeah.
I don't want you to leave Islam. I want you to Africanize your Islam. Same thing with Hebrew. I don't want you to leave the synagogue. I want you to Africanize your synagogue. Buddhist, Zoroastrian, Rosicrucian, whatever it is, Africanize it. Because it came from Africa, and when you interpret it from an African perspective and not from an Indo-European perspective. That's going to put you on the bottom of everything.
Yeah.
That's a plantation mentality.
Yeah.
How you could ever, this is what Dr. Clark used to always say, how you could ever put your God down and pick up someone else's God to worship, you already done lost the battle. I remember when there was a movie come out about Black Jesus a couple years back, maybe 10, 12 years ago. It was in a movie house too. Jesus was black. And they interviewed me in terms of the movie, and they asked me what I felt about it. And I said, it's a great story. They said, do you think Christ was black? I said, I don't think Christ existed. It wouldn't make a difference if you made him black or white. He didn't exist. You're Jesus. You are your own savior. Jesus didn't exist. I don't care if he's black. I mean, it's okay if you want to make Jesus black, but Jesus didn't exist. He's a metaphor for Heru. He is where Jesus came out of the story of the resurrection of Asar through his son Heru. That's where that story came from. That was told in Africa thousands of years before Christianity even existed.
Mm.
And also, the way we have it is we perceive that Judaism existed before Christianity. That's not true. Philosophically, Judaism comes out of the 18th dynasty, Akhenaten. And that is the first time that Aten was taken and the religion of Kush was reversed, where they took the power away from the Amen priesthood. The Amen priesthood is where Christianity came from. And Christianity existed thousands of years before the 18th dynasty. So Judaism with Moses did not bring forward Christianity. The Old Testament did not give birth to the New Testament. The New Testament actually existed before the Old Testament. There's a book that's titled Moses and Akhenaten. Moses, historically, is by Ahmad Osman, Ahmadosman. It's called Moses and Akhenaten. And what he's showing is that the word Moses means son of in the Kemetic language, son of. You have Ra Moses, Thut Moses, Ak Moses. Mose, Mez, means son of. So Ra Moses was son of the sun. Thut Moses was son of Thoth or Tehuti. And the Amen priesthood comes deep within, for instance, the Pope really is the Pharaoh. That's how it's set up. And all of the cardinals, those are the high priests. They kick women out. They told women, nah, you can't be a part of this. Which is totally different from the Kushites, because the Kushites had priestesses. For every priest, you had to have a priestess. In fact, it was the priestess that gave birth to the priest. So, when we throw away all this male macho concepts and things like that, and you see balance, then you understand, male, female, not up on a pedestal, not down in the valley, not walking behind you or in front of you. The sisters sit on the throne beside you, and you both co-rule. That's what built the pyramids. And we just have to come to this and understand that the thorough and total equality of our sisters. Total and thorough equality of our sisters. There is not to live in a society, brother, where a man and a woman could sit next to each other on a job, do the same job, and the man gets paid more than the woman. That is a problem in the society. That society ain't going nowhere.
Yes.
As long as that. Forget about the fact that you weren't hiring her years ago. But when you hire her, you still give her a percentage less than what the man makes simply because he's a man. No. There's a very serious problem there. And your civilization is going to fall as it is right now. It's falling. This ain't going to last long. But Brother Joshua, that's my question to us. If this does fall, the Greek Empire fell, the Roman Empire fell, and now this Oman Empire is going to fall. It's falling as we speak. They have no morals. They have no sense of decency. They will lie, steal, and cheat right in front of your face. They're doing it right now, right in front of your face. They're lying, they're stealing, and they're cheating. Georgia, Texas, liars. Stone cold liars. And they dumb. Because everybody's sitting here, no, you lying. It's not even like you like Reagan where you're smart and you're lying. You're at the point now where you're just going to drop the information for what it is, and that's just how it is. But what are we going to do? What are we going to do, Brother Joshua? We can point the finger at them and do all that. I understand that. And from so many of those things, they are at fault. I know how we got in this position, but Brother Joshua, if you blame somebody else for the condition that you find yourself in, you give them the power to get you out of that position, but you also give them the power to keep you in it. I take
Yes.
full responsibility for what I have to do, what we have to do as a people. I know
Yes.
how we got here. I'm not trying to get anybody off the hook.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we have to do this. We must educate our children. We
Yes.
must take that responsibility on our own and do it. And do it
Yeah.
sincerely and explain to our children what it is that they have to do in order to get where they have to go. The same way we did it on the plantation is how we do it in the streets today. When I go out heading towards my garage, young brothers, all the young brothers, and some of these young brothers, a lot of the brothers that I know in the community where I live, I know them because they were friends of my daughters or my son. There's a new group out there. That's the generation that is younger than my son. I don't know them, but we still speak. I can't pass a brother or sister on the street and not greet them. That's African, man.
Yeah.
And with the young people, my relationship with them is, hey, man, I'm not going to sit on the corner and try to lecture you about history and culture, but I am going to ask you how you doing. What's going
Yeah.
on? Everything all right? How's fam doing? And that's recognition. That's what respect means. Spec means to look. Ra means to do in a divine light. Ra. So respect means to look in a divine light at somebody. I see you, brother or sister. I see you. I recognize you. Okay? I know you exist. How you doing? And then sometimes they say, hey, brother, can I ask you a question about Africa? I say, yeah, come on.
That's
And
beautiful.
we talk for a little while, and then I keep going on my way, and they go on their way. They out there. I had to look the word up, man. I was out there one time. This brother said, yo, you are the goat. You are a goat. And you see, for me, my generation, when you a goat, that means you old and crotchety. They
Oh
say, oh, you ain't
wow.
nothing but an old goat. But goat,
Oh.
I went upstairs, and I spoke to my son. I say, yo, Heru, this young brother downstairs called me a goat. See, fortunately, I said, hey, brother, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Because the way he said it to me was a compliment. He wasn't trying to, be funny. So I didn't know what it meant.
Okay.
This was about like 2 years ago. He said,
Okay.
you the goat, man. And so I
Yeah.
spoke to my son. I said, yo, goat, what does
Yeah.
that mean? He said,
Yeah.
that means the greatest of all time. I said, oh my goodness. I'm glad I didn't jump on my brother. Like, who are you calling a goat?
Yeah. 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 Which yeah. You felt it
But we
though.
got to
You
talk
felt
to
it.
the young people, man.
Yeah.
Have to talk to the young, even if it's just to say hello, even if it's to respect, to see you, to acknowledge you. You're there. You're worthy. You're a person. I see you. Much love, much respect. How's the fam doing?
Yeah.
We have to do this to each other and for each other. Talk to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to our ancestors, I want to mention the Twambuti,
Mm.
and um, and when it comes to specifically the Twambuti, when it comes to the way they pass information down initially, and how that shows the mental integrity that these people had in that time, is phenomenal. Is phenomenal. The fact that there was no writing things down for thousands of years, and the human mind is that strong, and all the information is still with us today. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Nature. Nature was, when you talk about the Twambuti are the Africans that came up out of the Homo sapiens sapien and established what you might consider to be the first human family. They lived in Central and South Africa. They are the ones we derogatorily call pygmies. That's a derogatory term.
Okay.
They are the Twa Mbuti. They are also called the Kung, the San, the Moisha, but they are the original human beings that sat at the feet of the master teacher we call nature.
Yeah.
Nature was their first teacher. So if they saw a bird that flew overhead, big bird, flapped the wings, and as the bird flapped the wings, it made a sound. It sounded like, so they named the bird Heru. If they saw another bird that made sound,
Oh, wow.
that was the vulture. That's why that represents the letter A. Nature taught the first humans.
Wow.
That's where all of our vocabulary comes from. Nature.
Yeah.
Check this out, Brother Joshua, because I'm doing research on this now.
Okay.
The first language spoken was called the click language. In South Africa, the Kung people, when you listen to them talk, you can hear sound, like it sounds like clucking of the tongue. That's how they talked. That is what's called consonantal. In other words, it's consonants, because consonants are B, C, D, F, G, Z, T, L, M. Okay, all those are hard sounds. Then you have vowels. When vowels were created in linguistics in Africa, it opened up the vocabulary, because now you would have a click sound, but you would put an O in it and maybe some other sounds, and it would become, but patul would become battle, would become battle. My brother, what I didn't realize, I need to charge my phone. I'll be
Okay.
right back.
Okay.
Talk to the group for a little while.
Okay. Okay. I got you. So, basically, family, we want to. The reason why I felt this so effective that we engage Dr. Kaba's works is that we learn about the Twambuti. We learn about the history of the original people and how they use nature, and specifically to enhance their consciousness. They put the right nutrients back in their body. They looked at nature and observed the principles on how to harvest their lands and how to grow their fruits and vegetables and how to make tools and fashion their societies and fashion their social aspects of their lives. So we can learn so much. We can enhance our mental health. There's no reason for any melanated person to have envy or self-hate dwelling inside of you when you come from such a uniquely designed, beautiful people. It's one thing to not have the knowledge and don't understand the concepts, but we have the knowledge in today's day and age. It's accessible to us, like the master teacher was saying. Our ancestors that was in the plantations didn't have this knowledge. They dreamed of people like us being able to interpret and learn from our ancestors and have liberation in today's day and age. So it's our responsibility and our accountability to bring our best selves to the front of this stand, and to make our voice a beacon of light, so that other generations can feel the warmth of our voices, feel the warmth of our spirits, and that they can grow and embrace their true unique design, as he put. So yeah, I was
Yeah.
just talking about how the Twambuti inspired me to look at and shape my depiction on how future generations are going to come with some amazing things. You know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's no
Yeah.
question, brother.
Yeah.
Because even with the young people, my connection is the fact that the click language, the first language, that's the
Mm-hmm.
beats in rap
Mm.
music.
Mm.
There's a connection between the click language, and if you want to hear a song that has click that's popular, listen to a
Mm-hmm.
song by Miriam Makeba. It's called Pata Pata, P-A-T-A, Pata Pata. You'll hear the click language. But here's the other key, Brother Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
I can take the click language and I can play Beethoven as another brother. I can show you how Beethoven took the concept of the click in language and put it into his piano, into his music. But not just that. I can take that same concept of the click, Beethoven, and I can play Thelonious Monk, the jazz artist. And I can show you the click. But hold on. I can also take the click language, take it to Beethoven, take it to Thelonious Monk, and then I can take it to Dave East or Jay-Z. And I can show you where rap music beats. See, this is what my generation had to get over. Because my son used to always say, my daughter used to say, yo, Dad, don't listen to the words. Because, see, I'm caught up in the words. I come from a generation where words matter.
Yeah.
But the way the young people are doing it now, the way they're taking rap is not so much the words. They're taking the words to make beats. And when they take the words to make beats, that's what the original language did with click. So what I'm saying to the rapsters is that your beats are going back to the original language of the human family in Africa.
Yeah.
You didn't invent anything new. All you did was take it to another level.
Yeah.
I'm doing research on this now, but I got to get it right. You know, I'm doing a lot of study of the music itself and trying to segregate, try to separate the beats. And I got to keep fighting with my mind not to get caught up in the words.
Yeah.
See, and that's what the older generation is getting over.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem, because we come from words matter in our songs. Motown, Smokey Robinson, Marvin Gaye.
Beautiful poets.
You know? Absolute Stevie Wonder, you know. Yeah, that's where we're from.
Yeah.
But the reality of what happened with our young people, we, the elders, did not stay on our square. So I bless the young people for doing what they do, because they're doing the best they can with what they have. So we can, you know, I mean, people can spend the time talking about young people, but what I do is that when people say, what's wrong with the young people, I carry a mirror around with me. It's a little blue mirror. So when somebody want to ask what's wrong with the young people, I take my mirror out and show them, here's what's wrong with the young people.
Yeah.
The fact that you even asked that question, you the problem.
Yeah.
How could a child? That's like talking into a tape recorder and then playing it back and getting upset with what you hear. But you said it. So how you gonna get upset?
Yeah.
Everybody tripping over the N-word. Okay. Well, where did they learn how to use that word? Where did that word come? Like, did they invent that word?
Yeah.
No, they heard some adults say it.
Yeah.
They didn't invent that word.
Yeah.
And if you hear it all the time, then why do you think you hear it all the time? And, you know, when you think about the brothers that let their pants fall below their waist, it's not something I would do, but it's something they do. But I get the impression young people are saying, you know, you older folk been walking around showing your ass for so long, I decided to show mine.
Oh, man. Kaba, you cut deep. You cut deep,
Brother,
brother.
I've been around young people all my life. I've talked to them.
Oh, wow. Wow, I've never
You
heard
know.
anything like that. What? Wow.
It's just what I see, brother. We have work to do. I love our people unconditionally. And I understand why we're in this position. I understand how we got here. I understand how a brother could put a gun to another brother's head and blow their brains out. I could understand how that can happen. You know, they talk about the crabs in the basket. You know, about how when crabs are in a basket, when one crab tries to climb out, the other crabs will draw them back down. You know, And I often tell us, okay, there's another way to look at that story. Because what I want you to do now is I want you to take that basket of crabs and I want you to return those crabs back to the waters from whence they came. Put them back in their natural environment. And what you'll notice is that crabs stack themselves on top of each other so that the one on top eats.
Mm.
And when the one on top eats sufficient, it goes down to the bottom and pushes the group up so that the next one will eat.
Mm.
Crabs actually help each other in their
Mm.
natural environment.
Mm.
But if you take a natural entity out of its natural environment and put it in an unnatural environment, it is natural for a natural entity to act unnatural in an unnatural environment. Return us back to the waters from whence we come. We don't act like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand what we do to each other, but we're in an unnatural environment. No excuses, just reasons. I understand. I
Yes.
understand very well why we do what we do. Talk about each other, get on each other, don't
Yeah.
respect each other. Men and women don't get along. Return
Yeah.
us back to our waters of origin. We wouldn't act like that. Return us back. Or let us return back. We don't act like that.
Yeah. And it's so profound that you say that because ever since I've embraced nature, and I made sure nature things from nature is the only thing that come from my body. Living things from nature is the only thing. Correction. Living things from nature is the only thing that goes in my body. Living things from nature is the only products that I'm going to put on my body. Ever since I've done that, it's been easier for me to refrain from things that aren't conducive for growth. It's been way easier. When I was drinking pop and and eating chicken and fish and all these things, because I worked in a meat packing factory before, and I should have been off meat then, honestly, if because now that I remember the experience, the chemicals that they spray, and a lot of people don't understand this about the stuff that we ingest now. Back to our ancestors, what our ancestors were eating was way different animal flesh than what we have now, and people don't understand that those chemicals that they spray on that stuff is meant to last up to 30 days, and that's either whether you ingest it or not. So a lot of the things that's going wrong with us, a lot of the toxicity is based off the characteristics of the things we're ingesting. And I heard you speak on nature in regards to the conscious evolution. And could you speak on the fact of how our ancestors really embraced nature, as opposed to how they absorbed all the nutrients they were supposed to get as well?
Our ancestors understood, again, listening to nature.
Mm-hmm.
Nature told them what to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it by color coding the fruits and vegetables. They did it by putting it in certain areas. And when the human being came through its fruition, the Twa Imbuti, the food was already on the earth. All humans did was create an agricultural science that sped up the production of it.
Mm.
So where they saw watermelons, they learned how to create acres of watermelons.
Mm.
But it was still the same watermelon.
Mm.
And so so in other words, when before the African went to sit and eat at the table, nature had already prepared the table.
Hmm.
The food was already there.
Hmm.
Romaine lettuce, plum tomatoes, cherry tomatoes.
Mm.
It was all there. It was
Mm.
all there to be eaten.
Mm.
And there were times, if they had a bad season, that they would hunt. But like you say, it's just a totally different type of food. And it's also the types of food they ate, because they didn't, there was no pig.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of it is chicken. A lot of it is quail. A lot of it is smaller birds that they would eat.
Okay.
But they wouldn't necessarily eat like cows, because cow was sacred.
Yeah.
Heru, she was sacred to them. So they didn't, and plus they didn't see eating that type of flesh, and so, but they did have bad seasons, and they would eat meat, but for the most part, their diet wasn't meat.
Yeah.
It was berries, fruits, vegetables.
Yeah.
Hunters and gatherers.
Yeah.
The original people were hunters and gatherers,
Yeah.
and they basically just ate that way. And you
Yeah.
see, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has a book out, How to Eat to Live. And while there are certain things that I may not necessarily eat that they encourage to eat, there are basic things. The philosophy of how to eat is very important,
Yeah.
because it's not just important what you eat. The time you eat it is also very important.
Yes. Yes.
Some people get heavy on that breakfast, but
Yeah.
when you think about that word, it means that you broke your fast. It meant that you were asleep for 8 hours and you didn't eat, so you were fasting. All of a
Mm.
sudden, you get up and you break your fast. People be
Mm.
eating pancakes, bacon,
Yeah.
and egg. No, that's not what you eat in the morning,
Yeah.
because you got to get your digestive system flowing again.
Yeah.
You best with a nice little smoothie, you know. Some of
Yeah.
your products that you have, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
My wife been
Yeah.
applying that. Hey, that's sea moss and things like that. Nice
Yeah.
little juice,
Yeah.
something liquid, something smoothie that has the
Yeah.
different nutrients that you need. That's how you start your day. You don't start
Yeah.
your day with that heavy food.
Yeah.
That's why you want to go to sleep. I just kick in about 10 a.m. because of the breakfast that you had. You're ready to
Yeah.
go to sleep. That's why you got that coffee break, to put the caffeine up in you so you can get to your lunchtime. And then after you eat lunch, you're ready to go back to sleep by 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
How you going to have a productive day with that?
Yeah.
So it's not just what you eat, it's the time you eat it.
Yeah.
There are certain times that you eat certain things as your digestive system works. And for different people, it differs.
Yeah.
I'm a night person. I'm not a day person. I'm a night person. So much of what I do happens later on in the day. Where other people would be winding down their day, I'm beginning my day.
Mm.
But it's the same biorhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Same biorhythm.
Mm.
So we just got to begin to go back to ourselves. So that's a plantation mentality.
Yeah.
Going back to that plantation mentality, where we had, even though we worked hard on the plantation, in our backyard, we had our little food that we used to grow,
Yeah.
and we made sure we ate.
Yeah.
It's all part of it, brother Joshua.
Yeah. And that's so profound too. When I looked at how in the Shabaka Stone you you explain very eloquently about how the the black hole and how it brings it's basically got a pull on everything in the cosmos, and everything is basically everything is basically connected by that gravitational pull, and it's so profound when I look at that, and when I look at how we can just look up into the sky and literally feel energy and literally see what our ancestors saw and be able to picture the images that bring us close together. And not only that, but how that correlates with the birth, the human conception, and it's beautiful. And I want you to elaborate more on the black hole and its role in the cosmos.
Well, the black hole is at the center of every galaxy.
Okay.
And at the same time, all black holes within it were brought into existence by a quasi-stellar concept known as a quasar. quasar is like an antenna that we are finding out now through research that they are communicating with other black holes.
Mm.
That galaxies actually are communicating with other galaxies.
Mm.
There are billions of galaxies in
Mm.
our cluster.
Yeah.
Okay, there are billions of clusters in our supercluster, which is known as Laniakea,
Mm.
immense universe. It's a Hawaiian word.
Mm.
And there are billions of superclusters.
Mm.
So can you imagine the communication grid between these black holes? Black holes pull everything in. That's what keeps galaxies balanced.
Yeah.
Ma'atian.
Yeah.
And there's a place in the black hole as you're approaching the center of your galaxy. It's called the event horizon.
Mm.
The event horizon is the place of no return. It's like when you're on a waterfall and you get to that point on the waterfall where you ain't pulling back now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The force of the energy that's pushing that water forward and your inability to be able to pull back, that's called the event horizon. That's when you go
Mm.
into the black hole. Black hole takes everything in it. It is a very, well, they call it greedy, but it's just that it takes in everything. Not even light can escape out of the black hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are black holes on Earth. We absorb and capture light and heat energy. Nothing can escape from us.
Mm. Mm.
A woman's reproductive womb is a black hole out of which all things come forward. The same way a black hole produces, same way the African woman produces.
Mm.
And once you in, that's just to capture you, bruh.
Yeah.
You ain't going nowhere. She got her
Yeah.
event horizon.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just to pull you in. You ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Same principle. Same
Wow.
exact principle.
Wow.
Spirituality is unseen science. Science is seen spirituality. Once you understand that concept, everything is relatable. It's called the pattern in the tabernacle.
Mm.
It's powerful.
Yes. Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
We need to go back there.
Yes.
We
Yes.
need to go back.
And when you talked about
And we're on our way back.
on a recent interview, I heard you talk about the cosmic black mama. Could you elaborate?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Could you
that was the
elaborate?
purpose of writing Spirituality Before Religions, was
Yeah.
the last chapter. The last chapter is the return of the Black Cosmic Mother.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what's happening all around us. We can see it. It's happening all around us. From viruses to weather to human activity to the way the animals are reacting. You know, during the pandemic, where I live, you know, we have skunks and, you know, we have different types of animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in the beginning of the pandemic, I went outside one day when everybody was shut down, when everybody was scared and everybody was locked down in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went outside and I saw all these skunks and I saw all these look like beavers to me. They were all
Mm-hmm.
around. You know why they were? Because humans weren't outside.
Mm, yeah.
They
Yeah.
said, hey, it's safe. They ain't coming out.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
You know, all of this is happening. We are now on the cusp of going into the age of Aquarius. Some of us say we're already there. Some of us say we got a couple more years. It doesn't make a difference because once you're on the cusp, it's like the event horizon. Once you're in the cusp, you're going in. You
Yeah.
ain't pulling out. You ain't
Yeah.
staying in Pisces. Pisces is changing. It's going into Aquarius. And that is the age of the feminine energy. But what's important to also understand is the fact that each of us has both male and female in us by nature of having a mother and a father. So when we talk about celebrating female energy, we're not just talking about women. We're talking about feminine energy. All of us have feminine energy.
Yeah.
When George Floyd called out for his mama, he was identifying with his feminine energy. So that the return of the Black Cosmic Mother is for us all. This is not just for women. This is for men too. Together, we can move forward in this. And so we have to embrace this new move. Right now, it's happening. You can see it.
Yeah.
You know, just look around. Look at the weather. There was a week we had, I think maybe about 4 weeks ago. I mean, it was freezing.
Yeah.
Then it went to 70 degrees. It snowed. It rained and sleet.
Yeah.
What's doing that?
Yeah.
When I was growing up, brother, right now, we'd still be in cold weather in April. Tomorrow going to be 64 degrees. Wednesday's going to be 67 degrees. There were times that we had warm days, but not like we have it now. There is a global warming. Just like there's a global freeze, like the Ice Age, there's a global warming. That's where we are now. We are in a global warming. And this global warming is warming the earth. And there'll come a time in New York where all year long it'll be just like Jamaica or Puerto Rico. That's where we're headed. There'll be parts of the United States that become desert. That's just the way the earth is. That's how the earth has lived for thousands of years. But you see, Europeans haven't been around that long to have gone through the cycle. So they don't know. We've been around long enough. We've been through this cycle a couple of times.
Yeah.
So a lot of African folk know what's happening. Even the people in Ecuador, in Guatemala, and in El Salvador and in Honduras that are coming up to the United States, even they're coming up for the same reason. Because because it's very dry in Central America now. And they're having very serious problems agriculturally. And they need to move. That's what ancient people did. When the land you were around became uninhabitable, you moved to habitable land.
Yeah.
Wasn't no walls up.
Yeah.
You know, you just moved because you could not produce from the land. Eventually, thousands of years later, it would come back, it would fertilize the land again, and you could move back. But for that generation, you had to get out. And that's what we did in Africa and in India, what we did in America. It's just natural.
Yeah.
But we are but humans did not create this global warming. Now, what we did as human beings is we polluted the water, the air, and the soil. That's our problem. We destroyed the ozone layer, which allows the harmful rays, the ultraviolet ray B and C, but C normally gets burnt up by the time it comes to Earth. But the harmful rays that create desert, that create skin cancer, all of that is UVB. UVA is what makes us black. And so what we're experiencing now is a depletion of the ozone layer, which is allowing the harmful rays to come down to Earth more directly, which is killing people and is drying up the land, and it's creating the type of weather patterns that we see. So this is what we're experiencing. This is the return of the Black Cosmic Mother. She is coming to clean the Earth. And she's going to help Mother Nature, her daughter. Because the Black Cosmic Mother is like what you might call Queen Mother. Mother Earth is on the Earth. And so what's actually happening now is that there's a cleansing of the earth. We have sent out there's been so many painful cries, like from George Floyd, the children in the South at the border crying out for their mother, being ripped from their mother's breast during suckling. There's a price to pay for that, Joshua X. There's a price that people will pay for that.
Yeah.
For the purposeful underdevelopment of a people, there is a price that people will pay for that. And the price that they will pay is beyond my imagination.
Yeah.
You can't treat other human beings like that.
Yeah.
And think you can do it all the time. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice.
Yeah.
And when that justice comes, brother, it comes sevenfold. If you've done good, you'll get 7 times your good. If you don't do good, you get 7 times the fact that you didn't do good. I don't want to be in that position. Ma'at is the future. Ma'at.
And when you talked about the certain stages of life, you talked about the Ice Age. I want to talk about the Cro-Magnon people, and
Cro-Magnon.
Cro-Magnon, and basically I want to talk about their lineage leaving the Ice Age, and how they entered into Egypt and first first went into the first intermediate period, leaving the Old Kingdom.
Well, they first came down from the northern, the Ice Age. Africans crossed the globe. They're in all parts of the world. The Twambuti. They're in the Caucasus Mountains and north of the Caucasus Mountains.
Okay.
They're in Himalaya Mountains to the east. And eventually they're going to come back down across maybe 2,000 years before the Christian era, maybe 4,000 years ago.
Okay.
And they're going to go to war with all of the original people that they're going to come in contact with. And in their fighting, they're going to get kicked west. And eventually they find themselves in what we today call Kemet or Egypt. And that's going to happen sometime around the late 5th, part of the 6th dynasty. That's going to begin to dismantle the dynastic system of the Kush Kemet. And they're going to push them down. And that's the first time any large numbers of Indo-Europeans find themselves. The land that we today call Israel, the day before yesterday was called Palestine. But the day before yesterday, it was called Canaan, Ka-Nun. And the original people that lived there were Africans known as the Natufians. 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 These are the original African people that had left Africa and migrated to the country we today call Israel. And what eventually is going to happen is, as these Indo-Europeans conquer these Natufians and take over their culture, they're going to learn certain things, and pretty soon they're going to move over into Kemet. When they move over into Kemet, the Africans are looking at them, and they call these people coming across Ha-Ibri, H-A apostrophe I-B-R-I, Ha-Ibri, which means the ones who crossed over. The leader of the ones that crossed over is going to be called Ha-Ibrahim, which is where the name Abraham came from. This is just etymology. Sheikh Anta Diop. There's a section in Spirituality Before Religions that I dedicate to this concept, taking us through this concept. Who are these people? And when did they come over? Because a lot of people don't understand that. I ain't arguing about whether or not Kemet or Egypt was black. I'm not discussing that anymore. They're black, period. End of sentence, period, gone.
Exactly.
Now, other people want to talk to you about that, go talk to them. Don't talk to me. They were black.
Yeah.
That's it. No more conversation. I'm
Yeah.
done. Sheikh Anta
Yeah.
Diop proved it. John G. Jackson proved it. Scholars throughout time have proved it.
Yeah.
Gerald Massey has proved it. Albert
Yeah.
Churchward proved it.
Yeah.
Even the French that came in with Napoleon proved it.
Yeah.
The gentleman, Count Volney, wrote a book, Ruins of Empire. And he talked about how it's interesting that the very people we enslave today are the ones that brought arts and sciences to us as a people.
Yeah.
And that was like in 1868 that he saw
Mm.
that. He knew that Egypt was black.
Mm.
And he saw that the people in Haiti looked a lot like the people in Egypt.
Mm.
And that's what he was saying. And so this is who is the original people in this particular area of the world. And they're going to come in, and they're going to continue to come in over time. They're going to get kicked out, and then they're going to come back as the Hyksots. And then the 17th, the end of the 17th dynasty, 18th dynasty, going to kick them out again. They're going to take over, create the new kingdom. They're going to try to dribble back in. They're going to be kicked out again. Then the establishment of the Napatan dynasty, or the 25th dynasty of Kemet. But by 525, the Bronze Age was ending and the Iron Age was beginning. And Europeans had a mastery on iron, weapons. And the Kushites began to have challenges. And that was around 525 BC, 525 years before the Christian era, about 2,500 years ago. The sun set on African Egypt for the last time. And then the Cambyses and the Persians came in, the Iranians. And then the Greeks came in 330 BC and beat out the Persians. And then the Romans came in 30 BC and beat them out. And then the Afrabs, because I call them Afrabs, because to be an Arab, you must be African. That's what made you an Arab.
Yes.
That you are African.
Yeah.
And then the Arabs came in about maybe 670 AD. And that's what Egypt has been since then. But the original people were black. Science, nothing personal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the way it is, brother.
Yeah. And it helps bring a whole lot of clarity to, I believe, a lot of everybody's heard stories about, different metaphors and allegories from everybody's culture, different cultural stories, different religious stories, but your book brings to correct order all these stories. So that's why I feel like it's very important that, like, what you've done is very important, because, like I said, I thought all the stuff that I've heard before in my past life I thought most of it was rhetoric. However, there was an order in which that was just unperceived to my knowledge, because I wasn't looking for the details in that order. And for that to be become aware of me, I want to spread that to everybody else. I want to spread this to everybody who's looking for a fulfillment of their destiny and looking for the tools to link them back to their ancestors. Your work is definitely on that path.
Wow, that's fantastic, brother. I'm glad to know that it's having that type of impact. And it's
Yeah.
on Amazon. You can go to Amazon, and all 3 books are there. You can go to my name, Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, or you could go to the book itself, Spirituality Before Religions, and then that'll take you to the other books.
Yes.
But I don't write books because I'm a writer. I write books because I have something to say. And there's something that I want to say to us. And what I want to say is that we are free. We just got to realize it.
Yeah.
When someone tells a perfect lie, the truth is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we've got to come to a point where we can do what we have to do for ourselves. First, you have to love yourself.
Yeah.
You can't love someone else if you don't love yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you learn how to love yourself, then you can manage yourself, that we call self-discipline. So the second step is self-discipline. The third step is, if you know yourself and if you have self-discipline and you can manage yourself, then you can know other people. And when you know other people, then you can manage other people, and that's called leadership. But the first step is to know yourself, self-knowledge.
Yes.
And not just as it relates to culture. Know who you are.
Yeah.
Know what your divine gift is. Each and every one of them. Think about this. Every woman is born with every egg she will ever take through her cycle of life. And there are billions that she will never bring to fruition. In men, there are billions of sperm cells. Single is called spermatozoon, the plural spermatozoa. Imagine what made out of all those millions of eggs and millions of sperm. There was a unique sperm and egg that came together to make you. You were manifested before your parents were born. Check this out. If it is true that every woman is born with every egg she will ever produce, when your mother's mother was born, she was born with your mother in her. Your grandmother was born with your mother in her. Your great-great-grandmother was born with the egg that would become your mother. Think about the science of what I just said. If every woman is born with every egg she will ever produce, she is born with a legacy of eggs. Now, with that in mind, let me tell you one more thing. If we say that a generation is basically 20 years long, every generation is 20. Some people say 25, some people say 30. I want to keep it neat, so I'm going to say 20.
Okay.
Okay? 20-year generation. If you go back 20 generations, okay, every human being has 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 grandparents, 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents, okay?
Okay.
If you go back 20 generations, which for us would be 1621, we're going back to 1621, 400 years ago, from 2021 to 1621. In 1621 to 2021, it took 1,047,576 human beings to produce you. 1,047,576 human beings came into existence to create you and me and everyone listening to this program. Now, we only went 400 years and you got 1,047,000. Suppose I took you back to the Twa Mbuti millions of years ago. How many ancestors are in you? And fam, do you think you're alone?
Never.
Do you ever think you're alone?
Never.
We should never feel that we're alone. We walk with our ancestors. And when you get down to it, you only have one ancestor. That's the Creator. Because all our ancestors came from the Creator. And we are the creator having a human experience. Do you see how dynamic our ancestors were to be able to envision that type of world? You see how they built the pyramids and they built the temples and they lived in peace? They lived with love and tranquility. We need to bring that back to this planet.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is our job to bring that back to this planet. I charge myself with that. That's why I wrote those books. To lay a groundwork, to lay a foundation of an understanding from an African perspective, to break the hold that the Indo-European mind has on ours. Remember what Boukman and Cecile, Mamba, the Haitian Revolution, the night before the establishment of the Revolution du Haiti, Boukman and Cecile said, cast aside your white God. Embrace your African spirituality. You are free. They didn't say you could be free. You should be free. You might be free. You are free.
Yes.
Cast aside your white God. Cast aside the Wizard of Oz. And embrace the fact that the Scarecrow had a brain all the time. The Tin Man had a heart all the time, and the lion had courage, and all Dorothy had to do was to click her heels 3 times and say, I want to go home. We need to click our heels because we got the brains, the heart, and the courage. Click your heels 3 times and say, I want to go home. You're home.
That's, man, it is a marvel just to hear you connect all those principles together from the beginning of the conversation to just now. It is, man. I am witnessing a true talent. This is my first time I've ever been able to read a trilogy of books that correlated like this, and also be able to talk to the author of those books and be able to have him give me an in-depth depictions of the things he's written, and just make them come to life to me. Like I said, there's not too many words that I could say to express my gratitude. In Swahili, I'm learning that I respect you is shikamu, and shikamu, Kaba. I really do. I respect your mind. I respect your work. And I definitely feel elated to be connected to you, and to be in the position to empower my people by using your tools. I thank you. I thank you. By the mental health front, this advances the mental health front leap years, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
That's fantastic. And my brother Joshua X, I appreciate you and respect the work that you're doing, brother,
Yes, sir.
because you're
Thank you.
bringing this knowledge to the people. So I thank you for inviting me to be a part of this program. And I look forward to the future because we are going to continue this process together.
Yes, sir.
And so I respect you for what you're doing and for what you are a change agent, and you are making a difference in all of our lives, including mine. And I just want you to understand this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because we are together. We are in the waters of Nun.
Yeah.
And we're getting this together, and our people are waking up, and they are coming to a point now where they realize the strategy that has to be implemented. And I'd like to invite the community to go to my website at www.kabakamene.com, KABAKAMENE.com. I have a free e-course and study guide on my site. It's free. The most important document I have in my life is my study guide. That's why it's free. There are other things on my website, DVDs, different types of writings. But my e-course to Spirituality Before Religions and my study guide is free. Because one time I told Dr. Clark, I was young, I was in my 20s. Dr. John Henry Clark, I said, Dr. Clark, I could never repay you for what you've done for me. He said, you're right, you ain't got that much money. But what you can do is to do for others what I did for you. So Joshua X, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to thank Dr. Clark. Because in my coming on here and having this fellowship with you and the community that is listening, you are giving me the opportunity to pass the baton, to each one reach one, each one teach one, and to realize that our ancestors didn't bring us this far to leave us like this.
Yeah.
We have a destiny. Fasten your seatbelt. We're about to get it on. So just stay strong on it. Have faith in yourself. But first, love yourself. Love the size of your nose, the texture of your hair, your complexion. Because the Creator don't make mistakes. So however you were born, you were meant to be there. Go to www.kabakamenE.com. Put your email in the slot. It'll come down to you. If you're interested in my online classes, you can go to Shock Metaphysics. ShockMetaphysics.com. Put Shock in the slot, and the prices per month will be half price, $14.98. They're $30 a month, $14.98. And I'm not the only scholar. There are other folk up on there that are doing phenomenal work. But right now, this is 3 years that we've been doing this, online classes. Phenomenal scholars, phenomenal people. And we need to go there, family. We need to study. And I can tell you what I'm putting down is high-level information. I'm putting down high-level information. Yeah. I'm filling in a lot of the gaps that tonight's conversation, there were so many different areas that are expanded in my classes. The Twa people, all of that is expanded. I'm doing something now on the scientific method, and I'm tracing the very nature of science, scient, knowledge, back to Kush. I can show you where it came from. Evidence to our greatness. Evidence to your greatness. So just keep on keeping on, because it ain't over till we win. Yes. I appreciate you, Brother Joshua. In Kemet, Dua Dua'u. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And to all of you who are on, let me say one more thing. The most valuable thing you have is time. Time is the most valuable thing you have. There will never be another April 12th, 2021. You can lose all your money and get it back. Your house can go on fire and you can buy a new one. But time is one thing that never changes. And so I appreciate the fact that you've taken time out of your schedule to be with us. To think that this that we're doing, Brother Joshua X and Brother Kaba, is that valuable that you would spend this time. I value your time. I promise you, family, I'll never waste your time. And I'll never let anyone waste mine. It is the most valuable thing we have. Use it wisely. Spend it wisely. And don't give it to everybody, because some people don't deserve your time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dr. Kaba, I appreciate you. Like I said, I appreciate you again, and I thank you. And anytime you need anything, anything from the Being Black storefront, or anything in Chicago, or you passing by, you need some food, or you need anything. But I throw down in the kitchen as well. So you need
okay.
you need anything.
Okay, so that means I don't have to go that many times to Soul Vegetarian up there on
No,
75th Street?
no, brother. I can throw down. I'm not saying they don't throw down, but yes,
But you saying you burned some pots there?
yes, sir. All vegan alkaline, so it's good stuff for us. Yes, yes,
Make me,
brother.
oh, make me want to come to Chicago right now.
Yes, sir. You're always
I
welcome. Just
appreciate
know
you.
that. Yes, sir.
No doubt.
Yes.
Well, I'll definitely give you a shout out if ever I'm heading that way, because
Okay.
I work a lot with Brother Marcus Klein of the Freedom Home Academy,
Mm.
and I've gone out there to him a number of times, and I was supposed to go to him last May, but when the pandemic came,
Okay.
he had to change his plans. But I was on my way back to Chicago last May. I think it was May 1st, May 2nd.
Mm.
But things didn't work out. But when things get back, I see
Okay.
myself. Chicago is one of my favorite places.
Okay. Okay.
Englewood. Oh, that's where my peeps are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
That's
where I'm
where the
spent.
peeps are.
That's why I spent majority of my adult life is in Inglewood. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Good
But
place,
yeah.
man. Good people. Good
Yeah.
hearts.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Sure.
wherever I go, it's the same. It's always the same wherever I go. We as a people, wherever I've seen us, anywhere in the world, we're all doing the same thing, but we're doing it in different languages.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But we're doing it, brother, and we'll continue to do it
Yeah.
and know that things are going to get better in time.
Yes.
But the question is, what are we going to do?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, like I said, I appreciate you again, Kaba, and like I said, this is just the beginning on the front for all of those who are listening. This is just the beginning for Being Black 2020. As far as my health initiative, things are going to get more intense as I get more student subjects of healing and science and I get more rooted in African-centered knowledge. Things are going to only expand on the front of wellness and peace. So I appreciate you all for joining, and like I said, get to his website, engage in his courses, and I promise you, this is coming from the owner of Being Black 2020. I promise you, your mind is going to be stimulated at the content that is coming out of this website, of this man's materials that he puts together, because there is nothing more profound that I have found in my life to help me come to peace with the reality of existence like the work this brother has put out. But thank you again. And like I said, tune into the Being Black 2020 podcast. I'm going to, Dr. Kaba, when he's available, is going to have an insert on that as well. So just tune in and stay readily available for information and knowledge.
All power to the people.
All power to the people. All right, Dr. Kaba, I love you and see you later, okay?
Love you back, brother man. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe.
Yes, sir.
Keep
Hotep.
on keeping on. Hotep.
Let's see.